at least right now, you know, for the Biya regime to be stuck, you know, to get stuck, you know, morally, militarily, financially, you know, international reputation, you know, that we can achieve first. You know, what kind of political structure, the future, there are many factors, but you have to say, we Amazonians, it's our land. Yeah? We are tired of being occupied. That is not right. The resources are our resources. Yeah, we don't let it steal away anymore. Hmm? It's so obvious. Yeah.
So, if
So
the British Prime Minister, because they are the architects of this wrong that Ambazonians are facing, now that you are on the air, what will you tell the British Prime Minister that they should correct the wrong they did to the Southern Cameroon? I know when you call West Cameroon, Southern Cameroon, they are more familiar with that, but Ambazonia is the name. So, what will you tell the British Prime Minister if he's here now?
if he would be just sitting right to my side, I would tell him just the plain truth. Yeah. But for effectuate a real change in the British policies, you have to have a lot of knowledge about their internal political structure and who are the real string pullers in England. So, and I'm not really an expert in that, but you have to have, you know, how much power does the City of London have? How much power do the Lords have? You know, upper house, lower house, and you know which party is in power, and you have to know about British law and the history of the and Commonwealth and so on. Yeah. So who are the key players? That you have to find out. All these Chatham House and Bank of England and all this stuff. Huh? Even the militaries, you know, who are stationed in many places in the world. You know, the Brits are in many places. So, and when you confront them with the true history of Southern Cameroon, yeah, and what the British did wrong when they sold away the Southern Cameroons to the French and did not follow it up. That must have been like a secret deal, you know? It's like, I give you this and you give me that. Huh? And you have to know about it. So I would go to Von Gochidinka and who is in London and get taught by him, you know? He has more knowledge about it, about all these legal details. And that's what the Amazonians need to learn, yeah? How can we tackle the Brits and the French, you know, in legal ways, military ways, you know? It takes a lot of knowledge. Yeah? And I would say, all in all, it is very good to focus on the British and their law system, even more than to hope from America, because the process of decolonization in sub-Saharan Africa is still more a power thing referring to the former colonizers. And America was not colonizing in this. So America is still like a child of England, yeah? If you would call it. On the other hand, Ambazonia, of course, has to try it everywhere. So every ally we can get is good. And if the Americans are helpful, wonderful. So, and since so many Ambazonians are in America, of course, we have to instruct American senators and law firms and congressmen and so on, yeah, to use everything we can get. But we should not forget that UK, the British Empire, you know, who pushed the the Amazonians. And on the other hand, of course, we should never always blame the others. Yeah? We should also blame ourselves. I mean, I say we because I am married to an Amazonian lady. Yeah, I also feel like an Amazonian. Yeah, but you have to see that the British also did a lot of wrongs in the former Nigeria or in Ghana or in Egypt and wherever. But now you have to be a little diplomatic when you talk with Lord. So you cannot just come unprepared and emotionally full of reproach. Yeah, you have to upgrade your skill level and your diplomatic language, and hit exactly the point and the nail. And you have to take the British and the French like with pliers, from the military side, from the legal side, and then from the moral side also. It takes a lot, to move them and to push them. You need your elite, the Amazonian elite, the intelligentsia. It's very important. Yeah, you should not say, "Oh, I don't like this leader and that leader because he's of this political faction in Amazonia, or he's not doing anything on defense." No, you have to value intelligence. You have to value competence. Persons who have brains, they're so important. Brains and integrity, when that comes together, you have to make them into a team. This Amazonia coalition team is a place where intelligence comes together. And that is very, very helpful. And that's the key, to win a liberation war, diplomacy war.
Thank you so much, comrade. I know there is a divisiveness that is the most spearhead this Amazonian different leaders, and it has become a nightmare, and I believe that it affects those in ground zero spiritually, morally, physically, and because I think the best way is if you meet something that is wrong, I mean, you caution, say, this is my opinion, this is my recommendation, this is how I felt, this is how, if we approach it in this level, instead of starting doing insult, that is the most common disgusting language that I find that is very offensive. And it doesn't help those who are in ground zero when there's a greater call for unity, collaboration, and support those in ground zero. So that is one deplorable when you look at the group, and that can become so much offensive to me, I feel those in ground zero that they have sacrificed enormously to take initiative and to bear the risk and to take an offensive against the neighboring country, La République du Cameroon. It is our duty to collaborate despite the great differences that we have, so that working together bypass our differences and move forward together as one people, it will give unanimously victory of La République du Cameroon. But when we are disorganized, we insult one another, it's not helping. Of course, many international community recognize us that our case is legitimate and that we deserve better. But how can we, in this form of divisiveness, insult, can lead us? And so it is better that we begin to heal the wounds and begin to talk in form of collaboration despite our differences.
You tell it, comrade. You say it exactly like it is. We have to overcome this internal division But the question is always how can we overcome it? Yeah, and I would say it takes a lot of psychology also, because sometimes it is very understandable when somebody becomes emotional and reproaches the other and becomes unreconciliated, yeah, and spits out insults. Because when the crime is so, when the atrocity is so outrageous, yeah, and when it is violating the basic principles, it's understandable that somebody gets so angry that he gets out of control, yeah, and then he just wishes only death to the other side, yeah. And I have full understanding, because the wounds are so deep and they're so hurting, and it's all the ethnic complexity in Amba land is also playing into it, and then the enemy is also putting more oil into the fire and creating additional division to keep us weak. Yeah. So I have really full understanding for everybody who gets outrageous and loses control over his tongue. Yeah. But on the other hand, we should still, find ways, procedures in which even very hostile parties can sit together and work on the table and speak out in all honesty. What do you really want? Yeah, how do you grow up? What are your priorities? What future do you want for Ambazonia? Yeah, what's your idea about a good constitution? Yeah, for example. Yeah, or what's your idea about how the military of Ambazonia should be organized? Yeah. And when a moderator in these internal talks, an elder one who is experienced and knows about the souls of each party, has the competence to bring quality into the common proposals, yeah, for each party obvious that each side will profit. Both sides sign a collaboration agreement with which they can work with, yeah. And if the moderating party, the mediating party between hostile parties, I mean our internal Ambazonian parties, yeah, is also competent enough and sensitive enough, yeah, to heal some wounds, yeah, and bring the remaining good in each person, yeah, then it is possible, to open the way to a future collaboration and to reduce the internal division. So all your skill, and you need those people, who know the actors from their early childhood, and there's always more in the game than which is actually outspoken, because every person is more than you can say, yeah, and all the visions for a future Ambazonia, nobody has the perfect plan, yeah? So there's always room for improvement. Yeah, and if you make that obvious to each leader and activist, hey, look here, what can you offer? It's not perfect. I can chip in, some amendment, some improvement. You can give me a little improvement on my side. Yeah, and on the military field, you can say, okay, you are fighting over there in your county, and I am fighting over there in my county. So we do not really cross our do not really need to step on our foot, yeah, and kill each other, you know, because one wants to be the big guy and have all the weapons by himself, you know, make any sense because the front is a long line and. In all the counties, it needs defense. So also in the military logistics, you know, it is obvious who is a good performer and who is not a good performer. Yeah, the, the military has its own logical approach. Yeah, so it turns out who is tactically gifted and who is not. So, so who's not, who can keep secrets, who can, this has to be sorted out. So many things out. And it needs wise people who understand. And it's not only a reproach, but also saying each factor, you know, and then collaboration between defense and our diplomacy to some parts, mistakes, yeah.
Yeah.
Others cannot be forgiven, and you know, but you have to postpone the trial for later, because now we are in an emergency situation and we need everybody who can help just to help. Yeah? So if you have an open question with a foe who crossed your line, you know, sometimes you keep it for later. Don't go just into intermediate revenge. You know, as long as the other side is also fighting for a free Ambazonia, you know, just let him do that. And later on, when we are liberated, you can approach him and say, okay, you did very wrong in that past, you know, and I want to have justice now, you know. But you have to fight it out with him personally, yeah. But not now. Now we need, you know, everybody who is on the rescue boat who can row has to row now out of the zone, out of the genocide zone. Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it's difficult. I understand, but you should never think, oh, these Amazonians, you know, we Amazonians, we never get the act together. We are so divisive, and we are so. No, I can tell you, the Germans are also very decisive. You know, all the
Absolutely.
peoples had these internal struggles. Really, it's like there are so many political factions, and there are always those people who are starting a fight over a hair in the soup. Yeah, and there are other people who just don't talk much. They just put the hair out of the soup and continue eating. You know, and we need those people who don't make much talk, put the hair out of the soup and continue eating. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I'm too optimistic, but as far as I got to know you, um, I would say the internal division comes a little because of the decade-long indoctrination by the French hegemony, which like created a mindset of this would be normal, yeah, because the
Absolutely.
Biya regime played out each tribe against each other. So every chief became like the enemy of the other chief when it came to money, yeah, state funds and so on. Huh? So this habit of mistrust is very deep, you know, but it is artificial, I would say. Uh, you know, in the basic guts of every Ambazonian, you know, the capability to make peace with each other, you know, inside Ambazonia is pretty high, you know. You need to dance and shop together and to talk together, you know. You find a basic line where you can collaborate. I would say. I would say.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, comrade,
Or
for that.
do you see it,
All right.
Comrade Daniel, do you see it differently?
Comrade, so I know you have so much busy, so I will just so that we test how this can function so that we can schedule a more time that we can talk more. So I want to thank you so much for taking off your busy schedule and join me live. So this testing was very successfully. So I want to thank you so much. So we will plan another day so that we can get more in-depth analysis and uh, so thank you so much.
Yeah, I thank you too, Comrade Daniel. But of course, I would have liked to hear your opinion also. Next time.
Yes,
How
yeah,
long we
absolutely. Yes. So
okay.
good, good. Have a wonderful day.
To be here. Thank you. Thank you. Mhm. Okay.